everybody. It's me, Brandy, MJ Fan Forever and a Day. I hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday evening. I know this video is very long overdue. I've been very distracted with a few things, but I'm here and I'm ready to get into some information that I cannot wait to share with you guys. I am feeling definitely under the weather tonight, so please bear with me. I'm going to try to be as clear and concise as I possibly can while getting through everything. So what I wanted to talk to you guys today was what's actually the natural flow and what we're discussing here. I really hope that you guys are not getting bored with this series. I know that it's kind of slow, but it's very important that I take the proper steps to express this information to you the best way that I can. You don't have to take what I say as the gospel, but I just want to inform you guys on my view of how I see things, and it's up to you to form your own opinion. But there's a natural progression in it, and I just hope that it's not too slow. I was going to upload more last week, but I said I was just very distracted with everything else that was going on. So I will try to upload a couple of different videos this week to get back on track with things. So I appreciate your patience. I am so excited about all of the new subscribers and all of the comments you guys are leaving. And I just love that the knowledge is getting out there. I think right now it is crucial that we are very transparent when it comes to Michael and what was going on with him. And I think that having these kind of educational pieces is really important for people who don't really know much about him other than his music. And of course, the scandal that's happening right now is not helping. So I really appreciate you guys sharing my videos and my message and being super supportive. It's not always easy. I have a lot of people that don't support what I'm trying to do and don't support me and, think I'm crazy or, it's just, I feel kind of sad about it sometimes because I just wish people would understand where my heart is. But I do appreciate the guys and girls and everybody that's out there supporting me full time, when it comes to what I'm trying to do. So many blessings and thank you for that. So that's me on my soapbox. Let me get off of it and get straight into it. So we're going to be talking today is about destiny. It's like I said, it's a very broad subject when it comes to Michael in general. I know that previously, I've spoken about Michael's natal chart, what his numbers meant, how things were supposed to pan out for him, in the beginning. I talked about the first 7 years of his life a little bit and then his birth. I'm going to kind of skip over, I'm not going to skip over, but I just think it's important to focus on things where Michael was able to show us or express to us things, whether it was directly or indirectly. I think it's very important that we talk about those things. During the time when Michael was stifled creatively, I don't really know what I can say about those times. I can talk about things later concerning different things that happened in his life during those times, but I can't really talk about what he wasn't able to express during that time. And I don't really want to just guess. So that's why I don't really want to talk about the years where he was being very much controlled as far as his music was concerned or his creative ability was concerned. There are things that happen, like I said, during those times that I will definitely address at another time. I don't think people are ready for that right now. So I just want to kind of get to the basics. So that's why I kind of wanted to talk about Destiny. Destiny being pretty much the first album that the Jacksons were able to release independently. Well, they weren't independent. They were on Epic Records. But previously, when they were the Jackson 5, before they left Motown, they weren't able to really write or produce their own music. So this is their first form of independence and them being able to really express themselves as creators. So that's why I kind of want to segue into that, because I think we'll be able to get more information from knowing exactly what Michael thought, his thought process, and his creative ability during that time. So as I said, the first debut album for the Jacksons after their split from Motown is called Destiny. Destiny is the 13th studio album from the Jacksons. It was released in 1978 on Epic Records. The album marked the first time in the band's career in which they had complete artistic control. And also was the first album produced by the brothers. So I went over that previously. I do think it's very interesting that the title of the album is called Destiny, considering it's their first creative composition that they're all responsible for. So I think it's interesting that it is called Destiny. What else is interesting about Destiny? Destiny has 7 letters in it, which I immediately found to be really interesting because we all know about Michael and the sevens and how those sevens were showing up very early on. So yeah, it's Destiny has 7 letters in it. So what's also interesting is the definition of destiny itself. Something to which a person or thing is destined, a predetermined course of events often held to be an irresistible power or agency. So that's fascinating. Now, the album's artwork was painted by Gary Meyer. It has Jackie, Tito, Michael, Randy, and Marlon on top of the word destiny, which is the album's title, of course. It's carved in stone during a thunderstorm containing a whirlwind and stormy water splashing against the destiny word. Now, I can only interpret what this is supposed to mean. Just looking at it, I have my own interpretation. You guys are free to look at it yourselves and have your interpretation. I have a couple of them that I think it could possibly mean, but of course, this is not the gospel or written in stone. No one has told me that that's what this means. This is what I perceive it as. So destiny written in stone, we all know that when something is written in stone, it means forever. This could either mean that no matter what storms the Jacksons may weather, their destiny is written into stone and nothing can change it. Or it could mean, be interpreted as their destiny, which is written in stone again, will be full of chaos and storms that they have to weather. So, either one could be very accurate. This was back in 1978 that we see this, but a lot of time has passed since then. And we know that the Jacksons, they definitely have been through a lot of storms and a lot of crazy things that have happened, not just to Michael, to all of them. They've all been through a lot of crazy stuff, but they always kind of have that core foundation. They have that strong foundation, and it's like they have their squabbles, but they always come back to center. And I often think, like, if Michael didn't have his family, I don't think he would have survived a lot of stuff that he went through. People had their different opinions about Michael's family, his parents, whatever. I have my very strong opinions about Michael's parents myself, but I think just as a whole, collectively, as adults, not so much as when they were children, but as adults, they've been through a lot of stuff. So it to me, it's like, regardless, it could have been a foresight for them that no matter what they go through, their destiny is to be this pretty much this royal family, and they are. So it could be interpreted at that. I don't really know exactly why that was what it was, but that's just what I get from it. That their destiny is carved in stone, and nothing's going to change it, regardless of the things that happen. That destiny could be that they're known as the best family of all time, or it could be known as that they're known as the most scandalous family of all time. We don't know. We're still living in the present, so we will see what the history books say about the Jacksons. So 1978 in general, which is the year that the Destiny album came out, was a very, very interesting year for Michael. This marked a lot of independence for Michael Jackson as an artist. Coming into himself, he was working on Off the Wall, I believe, during this time. He filmed The Wiz. This was a very interesting year for him. Independently, creatively, it was just a very huge time. And I think at the time, maybe it wasn't really reflected on as such a big deal. But looking back on it now, you can see that this was a very crazy time for Michael. So when he did start in The Wiz, which came out in 1978, he was a scarecrow, in The Wiz. Which is interesting about the Scarecrow's character is the Scarecrow, is very highly intelligent, smart, and witty, and has all this, so much to offer, but is very much, we see at the beginning of the film, the Scarecrow is very much put down by the people who is subservient to him, basically, the crows, and it's interesting just kind of look at Michael's life and how things happened around him. He had the world at his fingertips, and I feel like he was never a stranger to pioneering something new and doing so many amazing things. But often it's like these people who meant nothing, like the paparazzi, the media, these people who mean nothing, they destroyed him, and they really tore him down. And they just pumped him full of so much trash, and they just hurt him. They put so much darkness on him because of what they did. And I feel like it's so crazy how that was definitely a foresight into his future, playing this Scarecrow. Now, there is actually a scene in The Wiz that I always found to be very interesting. Michael, or the Scarecrow, takes out a piece of paper, and it says, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown, me." And it's so crazy, like, kind of like, I don't even, if he even knew how real that would be in his future. Michael was famous during this time, but he wasn't like Michael Jackson, present day famous. So I always thought that was like really like that. Even when I like see that, it just like it throws me off, because it's crazy like that would become his future in so many ways. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to say about The Wiz, and I really don't want to get into this in this particular video, because it's just a lot to talk about, and I will talk about it another time. But Wizard of Oz and The Wiz were different in a lot of different ways also. One of the main things being that more or less in The Wizard of Oz, it talks about Oz and explains Oz and what it is and how it's kind of like this other side of where she's from, of her home. But I think that The Wiz really does dive deep into the fact that it's a parallel universe. It's a parallel universe of New York City. And if you actually look at the cover, you can see in the reflection that this is a parallel universe. It's interesting. It's very, I will talk about that in another video, but I did think that was very fascinating. So on to other things concerning The Wiz, or not really concerning The Wiz, but just concerning Michael being on the set of The Wiz. Michael, and I've spoken about this multiple times, and I've had this in other videos, where Michael actually drew a photo or sketched a photo that appeared to be himself on the set of This Is It. I've done a side-by-side comparison. I'm going to put that down there right now. But I've done this side-by-side comparison of Michael and This Is It versus the sketch many, many, many times. And it's very uncanny. People have argued with me about it and said that I'm crazy, that I'm seeing things. But I just think that it's actually, in comparison with this particular photo, it is incredibly... I'm sorry, I'm getting situated. It's incredibly uncanny. So that's cool. But something happened that kind of threw me off a little bit. Out of my own general, curiosity, I decided to Google CERN for 1978, because we're talking about 1978, and of course my ideas and my personality, I always just get excited about things, and I'm always like trying to find new things and research. So I decided to Google CERN for 1978, and I came across something very, very, very interesting. So on July 13th, 1978, Anatoly Bergorsky, a worker at CERN, was checking a multifunctioning piece of equipment when the safety mechanisms failed. He was leaning over the equipment when he stuck his head in the path of a 76 GeV proton beam. Reportedly, he saw a flash brighter than 1,000 suns, but did not feel any pain. This caused the beam to go straight through his face. Doctors feared with all the radiation that this would definitely kill him shortly, or at a minimum give him cancer, but neither happened. It did cause facial paralysis on one side of his face, and what's odd, this side has never aged because of it. He's still very much alive. I think he's 76 today. I think he's 76 today. But what utterly blew my mind is that this guy, Anatoly, was born on June 25th. Okay, now... I know it's crazy. It's like, you cannot make this stuff up, okay? You absolutely cannot make this stuff up. This is crazy. But yes, he was born on June 25th. He was born in 1942. But you're looking, I'm like, okay, wait. So this guy was born in okay, so I have to look him up. So I decided to look up his photos from the accident. Guys, when I pull up this photo of this guy during the aftermath of this accident, I about fell out. I cannot believe what I was looking at. So if you guys see, it clearly, the photo that Michael sketched looks so similar to this man's injuries. You have the side profile, the hole coming out of his face. Now, based on the accident and based on when the whiz came out, this is crazy. Like, because Michael would have probably sketched this in the beginning of the year. This accident happened in July. So, I mean, it definitely, like, had me shook. I'm like, what is going on? Like, these kind of things are clearly projections. Now, why would Michael have a vision of this? What would this all mean? And that's where it kind of, this is where it kind of got crazy for me. I'm like, this is nuts. Like, this has to mean, okay, this guy just happened to be born on June 25th. Michael happened to have this death hoax on June 25th. I'm like, this is crazy. This connection is insane. So I'm like, okay, so where am I at right now? So I'm like, okay, July 13th. Okay, I've got to look up anything concerning Michael Jackson for July 13th. I have to, because there's just no way. I mean, it can, of course, be a coincidence, but there's no way. So I'm like, I'm going to look this up. And I decided to. So I'm like, okay, July 13th, Michael Jackson. So on July 13th, 1987, 25 CBS Records executives and representatives are invited to a dinner party at Havenhurst. They are treated with a preview of the Bad album and Bad short film. So I'm like, okay, at first I just kind of looked at it, like, that's pretty cool. And then I looked closer and I'm like, wait a second. So I start doing some math and I start adding up 1, 9, 8, and 7. That equals 25. So you have the 2 plus the 5, you have, 7. Okay. We're used to the 7s, right? We always see the 7s. The 7s are always appearing. So I'm like looking at it again. Then I'm like, okay, wait, 25 CBS Records executives, 2 plus 5, 7. So you have 2 7s in this scenario. Coincidence? I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it would be a coincidence to me. Okay, so I just keep moving along. I'm like, okay, that could just be that could be just one July 13th. It doesn't really mean anything. Let me just keep looking. So I look on. Then I see that on July 13th, 1993, Will You Be There is released as a single. Shook. I'm like, okay, what? So this was July 13th, 1993. But that isn't even the crazy part. Will You Be There has 14 letters in it. Okay? So you have the 14s, you divide it, you have 7. Okay, another 7 tied to this July 13th date. I'm just like, okay. Now, what's interesting about that is Will You Be There came out 3 days before Evan Chandler's lawyer, Evan Chandler's lawyer, Jordy Chandler's father, received that statement from the psychologist stating that he or she believed that Michael was sexually abusing Jordy. So it's crazy that this song comes out and then 3 days later these allegations happen. So I don't know when Michael wrote this song, if he was foreshadowing it or if he knew, maybe he had already heard something about it. He said he wrote Will You Be There in his giving tree at Neverland. So I'm not entirely sure, but it just seems crazy that song would come out and then 3 days later you have these allegations. And Will You Be There is all about showing him support in his darkest hour, no matter what was going on. That's crazy as hell to me. But again, that's July 13th. But the craziest July 13th relation that has me completely, shooketh is the fact that on July 13th, 2009, that is when the This Is It tour was supposed to start. Okay, so we know the dates were changed a couple of times, but the final curtain call was supposed to be July 13th, 2009. Okay, now we know that didn't happen. But what did happen, what did happen was all of Michael's fans that were supposed to go to the show, well, not all of them, but people who were in the UK, they all got together and gathered outside of the O2, making a makeshift memorial for Michael. And it's kind of crazy that on that day, Will You Be There would have been released. Okay, now there's exactly 16 years between 1993 and 2009. If you add that 1 and you add that 6, you get 7. Okay, so all these people who are naysayers just saying that I'm tripping and I'm just, you can make numbers from anything. Guys, come on here. I don't know. I mean, obviously, these are not things that Michael can orchestrate himself, obviously. But you have to believe in something, that something is causing these 7s to pop up. Something is orchestrating these 7s. What are the odds of that? And then, of course, the memorial service. Now, we all know that Will You Be There is a huge thing in the death hoax. Because during the performance at the actual memorial, there's the pain versus pains, okay? I will get to that. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but that is kind of proves my point that is significant, okay? This song comes out 13 years later. It's being around the world. Will You Be There? Okay, talks about his darkest hour. We will get into that in another video, but guys, you have to think. You know, you have to think. I'm sorry, not 13 years later, 16 years later. And you have that 1 plus 6, which is the 7. It's all about numbers with Michael. So that is crazy. That is, okay, so I'm like, all right. So let's kind of recap that a little bit. We know that in 1978, Michael released Destiny. We know he was working on The Wiz. This 1978 was a very significant and big year for Michael Jackson. We know this. This marked his independence. So I decided to look up 1978, just in general, the year, what was going on. And I find the Stern article about the guy who was born on June 25th, getting a beam through his head at this Large Hadron Collider that we've been talking about, that we're going to get into. Okay, this is June 25th. So I'm like, okay, wow, what the hell? When did this happen? July 13th. I go on to July 13th and I start finding all this shit about Michael and all these different dates that are so significant in his life, including Will You Be There? Including the day he was supposed to start. This is it. Guys, come on. Don't call me crazy. Don't tell me I'm tripping, because I'm not. I'm very confident that I'm not tripping, okay? So this is not the end of this. Let me just, before I get on my soapbox, let me just kind of move on a little bit here. There's something else about the Destiny album that I want to talk about with you guys, but I really can't talk about it right now because I don't want to confuse you. I want to stay the course and stay focused, because if I sidebar too much, it'll just get really confusing. But there is something else very, very, very significant with the Destiny album itself that I will talk about at another time. But for now, let's just kind of fast forward to the future. Let's jump ahead. Let's fast forward, okay? So on November 5th, 2010, the song pops up. Okay, it's called Opus None. This is November 10th. Okay, I believe on November 11th, the tracks for the Michael album were released or I don't know. I don't remember the history with that. I'll get to that in another video. But this is November 5th, 2010, this Opus None song drops out of nowhere. Everyone loses their shit because it's like the first real stuff that we hear from Michael posthumous, and it was crazy. So everyone's like, where the hell did this song come from? What's going on? TMZ's writing about it. It's uploaded online. It's just crazy. So there's a statement released by Howard Mann. So this song actually was on the JacksonSecretVault.com. It's a company in which Katherine Jackson was a partner. The company owned nearly 300 unreleased MJ tracks, along with never before seen video and memorabilia. I don't know what's going on with that now. I haven't checked in years. Maybe that's a little project you guys can look into. So Howard Mann which is Catherine's partner in the company, told TMZ basically in a statement, in an effort to overcome the confusion as the authenticity. I cannot say that word. Authenticity of the track the estate has recently released. We want to give an actual authentic Michael Jackson track to the world. I don't know if they had released, I don't really remember this timeline. I don't know if I don't think they had really put, because I think the Michael album came out in December. So I think they just released a couple of songs and people were all pissed off. That's not Michael. And it wasn't Michael. We all found out it wasn't Michael. It was Jason Malachi. But basically this song was allegedly released so that people could hear a true Michael Jackson track versus the bullshit we were being fed that was Michael Jackson. And it was basically to prove a point. That's what the story was everyone was sticking to. So that's what we're saying right now. But now, later on, there was alleged confession from Howard Mann that Catherine actually never heard the album. She had nothing to do with the leak, blah, blah, blah. Tunes were changed. I think Catherine very much has something to do with that song being released. But she caught a lot of shit from the fans. And the fans were like, oh, we don't want this. We're going to, we don't like this. And just there was a bunch of crap surrounding it. So I think that just basically Michael decided to take the heat off his mother. And the guy was like, okay, well, she never had anything to do with it. It was all me. So I think it was ridiculous, but that's what happened. That's the history behind Opus 9, what happened. It just appeared one day, 12-minute long song, and people are like, what the hell is going on? So the song in itself, the song in question is a very, very, very interesting remix to the song Destiny. Some people simply call the song Confusion. About 80% of the song is Michael repeating the statement, happiness ain't always material things. At moments in the song, he keeps saying to feel this free. And we also hear him like screaming. We hear sirens, like a paramedic siren. It's a very, very, very interesting song. I mean, I thought it was people were backmasking it. Like it was like huge, like crazy, like conspiracy. I mean, people in the believer community in general just like lost their fucking minds about this song. Now, I personally thought it was amazing. I thought it was a great song. I thought it was really cool. But there's never really been like an explanation for the song. No one's actually ever really explained. Like, we just know it was a guy it was a DJ who allegedly remixed Destiny. But it's crazy because there was clearly like new tracks on this song. Like the people, like Michael was only voiced on the song. But you can clearly hear like his voice he sounded older. He didn't sound like the guy who was singing on Destiny. It was like a grown-ass Michael, a grown-ass man singing. So it was clearly, I don't know if this is something that he recorded previously in other years that just got released, or there's never really been an explanation for this song. Not a true one. The story changes all the time. It's kind of crazy. It's just like it was in the vault, but there's no real information on the song, like why it was recorded. Michael traditionally didn't like his songs to be remixed. I know he remixed things on History, but he was very picky about his music being touched and messed with. So I always was like, okay, there has to be more to this. I can't see him just having this sitting in a vault somewhere and not doing anything with it. So there never really was an explanation for it. So about the song title, the word opus is Latin for help, influence, power, resources, wealth. This is not to be confused with opus, which is a collection of masterworks. So opus, like Michael Jackson's opus, is not the same as like opus 9. It's completely different. Opus is like the book. It's a collection of art, collection of, masterwork. But this opus is a different meaning. So help, influence, power. None means not any. Okay, so that is really interesting. So not any help, not any influence, not any power, not any resources. What does that mean in terms of the song Opus 9? And when that would be backwards, wouldn't it? It would be like if none is at the end of it. But I don't know, depending on the language, I don't know. And to me also, backwards. I get that with things, Michael wanting things to be parallel. And I'll talk about that later down the line. So I kind of get why that's backwards, because it's about dealing with like duality and things that are paralleled. But yeah, so not any help, not any influence, not any power, not any resources. Keep that in mind, okay? Not any help, not any influence, not any power, not any resources. Happiness ain't always material things, you know, to feel this free. Keep that in mind. So, you know me, I'm like, okay, all right, a date. This song is released. What's up with that? Okay, you guys know me and my dates, me and my numbers. This whole video has been about dates and numbers and the significance of them, what they mean. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna get to the nitty gritty of this. We have to. So November 5th and Michael Jackson. First thing that comes up for November 5th with Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson's single Black or White was released. So it was released for us to hear it. However, you could not purchase that single until November 11th. So we have 11/11 is when you can buy it for purchase as a single. But we were able to hear it on November 5th, 1991. Ghost received its U.S. premiere on November 5th, 1996. Which is crazy. That's November 5th, Ghost is released. Ghost is another thing that we will... Oh my God. Ghost is so much, it goes so deep. And people will not even believe how deep that music video and that song goes, okay? But that will be significant later. So that's on November 5th also. Now, here's where things get so crazy with this November 5th thing. Okay? Beyond insane. Joe and Catherine Jackson were married on November 5th, 1949. Okay? This is the day they were married. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. I mean, that definitely like shocked me, because I'm like, that has to be it. But because I could never understand like why Catherine was tied to this release of this Opus None song. Like, why would they like frame her or say her name if she had nothing to do with it? Right? So that kind of was like a red flag to me. I'm like, okay, so that's why, okay, November 5th. Okay, so November 5th, Catherine and Joe get married. So I'm like, okay, let me do some math with this. So if you take the years 1949, okay, 1949 to 2010, okay, you guys ready for this? You get 61 years exactly. 61 years between 1949 and 2010. Okay, 6 plus 1 is what? It's 7. Okay, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. You have so then you have 22,280 days. Okay, 2, 2, 2, 8. You guys get it? 2, 2, 2, and 8. 14. 7 and 7. Okay. Completely crazy, right? No, it doesn't stop there. 8. Okay, so 3,182 weeks. 3, 1, 8, and 2. What do we get? 14. Guys. Oh my dear, oh my dear, oh my dear. This is crazy. And people say I trip about these numbers. I do not trip about these numbers, guys. I do not trip. Okay? So you have Opus None released on November 5th, 2010. With Catherine somehow weirdly attached to it. Okay? Really strangely attached to it. And then I do the math and I'm like, oh, November 5th. This is when Catherine and Joe were married. 61 years ago. And you have all these numbers that equate to 7, which is crazy. But that's not even really the crazy part, because you stop and you think about something. That to me is extremely fascinating, considering the premise of Michael's story is about how poor he was as a child, how he had nothing, but then found all the fame and success in the world. Did that really bring his family peace? Did that really equate to happiness, this material things? Think about this opus none, how I said, not any help, not any influence, not any power, not any resources, not any. Okay? In the song, he's talking about happiness ain't always material things. Then it leads back to Catherine and her and Joe getting married. Okay? On November 5th, when this song was released, guys, this all circles back to the Destiny album cover. It all circles back because you have the Jacksons and you have them sitting on top of this destiny, and you see all these storms and all these things that they have to weather and go through. And I ask the question again, does this mean that their destiny was always been, the chaos that they had because they didn't have anything? Did that roll out into their adult lives? Was this destiny always destined, or are they going to come out on top in the end? It all falls into what I'm saying about destiny. This was the first debut album that Michael was really able to work with his brothers, but able to express himself creatively. Michael knew exactly what his life was to be, no matter what it was to become. And I think, you guys, this all might sound crazy. There might be a lot to process, a lot to think about. I might sound completely insane, but you have to be open to what I'm saying to you. He knew what was going to happen. Everything that's happening, just because you know what's going to happen, it doesn't mean that you have a clear visual of what exactly is going to happen. You can just, I have a situation like that right now, like a very confusing situation in my life, and it's very confusing, but I know it's necessary. I know that it's necessary, and it's painful and it hurts and it sucks because I want to have nothing to do with it, but it's necessary for my growth. And sometimes you have to face what is necessary, even if it hurts, if it will help you grow. And that is going to make so much more sense later when I get into other topics. But for now, really listen to this video again. Everything I've mentioned, go research yourself. Do the math yourself. Do the numbers yourself. And really think about it. What does destiny truly mean? And what did that mean to Michael? Okay, so again, as always, I tell you, please like my video, subscribe, turn on the notifications so that you know when my next video is coming out, and share. Let everyone watch this and get the word out. This is a time more than any that we have to fight the good fight for Michael, because this is bad. What's happening right now is very, very, very bad, and it's scary. But you are fighting. This is what's meant to happen. Okay, and I don't want to get too much into that, but it's what's meant to happen. But this is where we have to step up and not fight against it, but just cushion the blow and make it easier for people to understand. You know what I'm saying? We know that Michael was 100% innocent, that he never hurt a child, but the world doesn't know that. And it should be common sense, but it's not. So it's time for us to stand up and show them who Michael really is. That's why I'm doing this. I am doing this not for my own satisfaction, my own gratification. I'm doing this because I know it's my calling to make this very clear. And you don't have to agree with me. You can disagree with everything that I say, but I just ask you to keep an open mind, do your own research. But know that my intentions are from a good place, and I want people to really see this beautiful human being and what he is meant to do, because Michael's work is not done. It's not done. So, again, subscribe, enable notifications, and let's pass the message around. And I thank you guys for your time. You're always awesome. And I have another interesting thing I want to bring up very soon, so look for a video in about a day or so. I have a proposal for you guys. I think we should do something really cool this summer. to kind of honor Michael and his truth. So I will bring that up in my next video. But again, thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys, and I love you, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and have a great week, and get rest, and stay positive, and just pray, and just put love out there, because love is the answer, and it will definitely change everything if we are honest with that. So, all right, I love you guys. Bye.